A lot of times what we do with the vegetables from the garden are sides, but they can also be turned into relishes to accompany the main part of the meal, and that's what we're doing today. I have a great 1 pound boneless top sirloin steak here. I've got it in a nice medium hot skillet. I'm just going to put it in there for about 4 minutes to 5 minutes, turn it over and cook the other side, and that'll give me about medium well done. If you wanted a little bit less, you could do that. Remember, it's okay to eat steak less than completely well done as opposed to ground meats, because any bacteria is going to be on the outside, and when you cook it, it's going to be exposed to those high temperatures and taken care of at that point for you. Now what we have is something a little bit different. This is just going to be a beef sandwich, but the relish we're putting on it is something a little bit unusual. I've got 1 cup of grated turnips. Now remember, these are going to be a little bit sweet because they're raw turnips, and I'm going to combine that with another cup of raw carrots. So we're going to stir those together with about 3 tablespoons of green onion, 1/4 teaspoon of dried thyme leaves, and 2 tablespoons of fat-free Italian dressing. Now the meat, by the way, if it's still warm enough or you're just courageous and want to put on the heavy coats and go out and grill, you could do the meat outside too. It doesn't have to be done this way. You could also use leftover beef. If you have 2 people in the family for a pound, that's more than you can eat in one meal, and so that would be a perfectly good way to take care of the meat that way too, and have another planned over meal that would stretch the meat so that you don't eat too much at any one time. So those are going to get stirred together. You can do this part of ahead of time as well. The green onions you may want to stir in at the last minute so they stay a little bit crunchy, but the rest of it can be stirred and let those flavors blend together. Do it the day before if you need to. Now what I have here is 2 slices of sourdough bread. You could use rye, you could use pumpernickel, but make them fairly big pieces. With the new dietary guidelines for Americans, we want to aim for having at least half of the bread we eat be whole grain, but that leaves half of it that you can use some things like sourdough for these kinds of instances. We're going to spread some of our relish onto the bread. Another alternative to do this would be to toast the bread, make it even crispier and crunchier. We'll put some lettuce leaves on this side. Make sure that they're nice bright green so they add a lot of color, that they add a lot of nutrition as well. And then finally I'm going to add about 1/4 of the meat that we've got here. You can see this is still got some nice pink to it. If you want it more well done, you just make these to fit your own family and your own personality. Put the top together. I'm going to leave it like this so you can see how great it looks. And you have a wonderful sandwich meal with beef that a lot of folks think is really essential to be part of a meal if you're eating in Oklahoma, surrounded by some of the great vegetables that we have here too. Some things that you might not in other instances choose as your vegetable, being turnips for one. For Oklahoma Gardening, I hope you'll try beef sandwiches. This is Barbara Brown.